issues we talked about in our meeting. First of all, I'm very glad to participate in this kind of meeting. What we talked today, it shows clearly that we share a similar picture in very many very typical issues, especially in economics. If looking at the Nordic-Baltic region, it's easy to draw the conclusion that we are representing well-functioning area in which the political decision making is very strong, which is an area of home base for many globally active enterprises, in which we have used quite a lot of public money for research and development, for instance, in which we have some certain dynamism in our economy, and in which the economic situation is probably the best in Europe. And when looking at the globe as a whole, our position is getting stronger and stronger all the time. It's not only, or it's not because of geography, but because of tradition in political culture and the good decisions in our history. So therefore, we have to work hard in order to maintain this position, but our proportional position in the globe is getting stronger, and that is very good in order to, it is very good, especially when we are trying to attract investments, foreign direct investments to our region, and in order to keep our region prosperous and growth-oriented and welfare. We share the similar values in many other issues also. We talk about the political situation in the Middle East, in Northern Africa, and we share the same views on and questions on these issues. But this is what I wanted to say, and then we go straight to the questions.
Yes, thank you. Michelle Rasmussen from Executive Intelligence Review, Washington. I have a question about both the solution to the financial collapse and relation to Russia. Our editor, the American economist LaRouche, emphasized after the recent European summit that it in no way solved the combination of the unpayable debt and the speculative debt. And at the same time, after the killing of Gaddafi and calls for Syria to be the next venue of intervention, there have been increased tensions with Russia, which could lead to a larger conflict, as in the Balkans previously. So my question is that there has been, it's to any of the prime ministers, that there has been growing support for reenacting Franklin Roosevelt's Glass-Steagall law, which would separate the banks, where the states would not save the speculative debt. And I want to know if you would consider such a Glass-Steagall bank separation as the first step to a solution, and that this could also lead to cooperation with Russia to build up the real productive economy.
Right. So when it comes to the political cooperation, especially in questions like Syria and the Middle East, generally speaking, we need Russia there. And there's no other way than to try to find political compromises and common political will when those will be political issues. For instance, the issues which we are witnessing in Northern Africa at the moment. When it comes to the economic growth, Russia is still an economy which is growing, and it gives especially for the Northern European potential in economic terms. Everybody knows that Russia, in order to get a sustainable economy and economic growth, they need to diversify the economic base. Russia is very natural resource-oriented economy at the moment, and they have said by themselves, it has been said by themselves that they have to diversify the economic basis. They need direct foreign investments and the cooperation especially from the European countries.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted briefly to concentrate on those questions as regards Glass-Steagall law and financial markets. I would say this has not been much debate in Europe, because also currently the problems we face in our banking sector are not so much related with kind of merging investment banks with retail banks. It's rather, interestingly, it's problems related to certain banks' exposure to sovereign debt, like some Greek loans and so on, which was behind the problem why EU took a decision to recapitalize its banks and raise capital adequacy ratio to 9% by July 2012. So it's a little bit different set of issues we are dealing with as regards banking sector. Then as regards sovereign debt, with this basically, which was controlled default of Greece, also this Greek debt will be brought down to some 120% of GDP, which is just around manageable level of debt. And then it really more depends on whether EU and Eurozone countries can be serious about their fiscal adjustment and actually bring their current budget deficits under control. And if their current budget deficits are under control, then those levels of debt which are also experienced in several other Eurozone countries are just about natural.
I'm Anna-Liina Kauhanen from the Finnish daily Helsingin Sanomat. I would like to ask Prime Minister Stoltenberg, what does it mean to Norway that tomorrow's conference team is reflecting the tragedy in Norway?
I think that's a great expression of the Nordic sympathy we have received after the terrible attacks of the 22nd of July, and the sympathy and the comfort the people of Norway received was of great importance for the people of Norway, but I know also for those who lost their loved ones. They really felt that they were seen by not only Norwegians but also by people all over the world, and in particular in the Nordic region. So that is important in itself, and in addition I think it is important that we discuss how we can maintain our open Nordic societies and at the same time being able to fight violence, terror, without destroying the trust and openness which we are so proud of in our countries. So I'm looking forward to the debate.
Please.
Ola Mortensson, Östersjönytt. I would just like to know, when I leave this room, if there's a common Nordic-Baltic view concerning the possibilities for visa-free traveling between the Kaliningrad Oblast and the neighboring countries, Lithuania and Poland. And that is question A. B, is there a common view concerning similar traveling between the larger Russia and its neighboring countries in the west, that is Norway, Finland, Estonia and Latvia?
Prime Minister, Lithuania.
Of course, we have no possibility today to discuss this very specific issue on visa regime towards Kaliningrad district and neighboring countries. But we in Lithuania, we are ready to implement so-called neighboring regions to the border regime, which can be implemented according to Schengen Treaty, and 50 kilometers of Lithuanian territory will be easy to reach by the people from Kaliningrad. The same shall apply to our neighboring Belarus. So that is what we're ready to do.
We didn't talk about this topic today, so it's difficult to say whether we have a common view on these issues. But on my behalf, I'd like to say that we are interested in to push forward a common European roadmap on the visa issues to Russia. We are giving around 1.2 million visas to Russians this year, and everybody this year, or 80% of them are multiple visas, and it's used approximately 3 times per year. So we are talking about huge figures in the Finnish-Russian border of the travelers. But it's not a very easy task, and we have to be sure who is traveling, and we need a common European policy on this issue, and therefore hopefully on December European Council meeting we could agree on the common roadmap how to go further.
I'm from the Finnish Helsingin Sanomat, Anna-Liina Kauhanen. I would like to ask Prime Minister Thorning-Schmidt, is Denmark changing somehow or other its policy in Nordic cooperation?
Well, there's no doubt that with this new government, we have actually prioritized both the EU and also our Nordic cooperation. And it is no coincidence whatsoever that I spent my Friday traveling to the Baltic countries, and I'm extremely happy and honored to have the Nordic-Baltic Council meeting here today. This is my 4th week as a Prime Minister, and I'm very happy that this is our first international meeting of this kind, of this cooperation. And I think it does underline that we are most committed to not only our Nordic cooperation, but also the Baltic cooperation. I think the more we talk together, the more it is clear to all of us that we have a lot in common, both in terms of our economic discussion, in terms of our trade, in terms of what we want to achieve with our economies and our welfare state. So I think it is extremely useful to have this kind of cooperation, and we're all proud of this kind of cooperation that we have here.
Please.
Philip Loeb from Norwegian TV. I have one question for the Danish Prime Minister and one for the Finnish, and if you would like to answer in Skandinaviska, our viewers would appreciate it. Herr Thorning-Schmidt, du overtar, you will take over the presidency of the European Union, or Denmark will take over the presidency. What will be Denmark's main focus, and how will you approach the enormous challenges that awaits the European Union for the next few months? And for Finland's Prime Minister, being the only Nordic country which has chosen to enter the Euro, what do you think should be the concerted and coordinated effort by the Nordic countries to help and bail out Europe from the financial crisis?
Thank you very much. I won't answer in English because then anyone can understand it. I mean, of course, we'll give a lengthy expose of Danish presidency's priorities. it goes without saying that the debt crisis that we're dealing with now is still very important. And also the connected issue to that debt crisis, which means that we are very focused on keeping the 27 member states together. We discussed that in our meeting today. It is very important that we keep our member states together and we act as 27. I think we should focus now on solving the debt crisis that we're in. And one of the priorities for the Danish presidency will, of course, to focus on the debt crisis, consolidate our economies as much as we can, but also make a head start in terms of the single market issues where this can be used as a basis to create more growth within the Union. So these are our priorities, and it goes without saying that one of the main topics, main issues that we will have to deal with is the multi-annual financial framework, which will be one of the things that we really have to get into in